Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic Remastered. This time we take a look at the 1995 Honda CRX Del Sol VGI. Yeah, this is our second Del Sol to take on the course. We had the 95 SIR, this is the more base model, the VGI. Don't ask me to name the difference, because I can't. I think these actually have the same engine, they're just in various states of tune, so this makes like 128 horsepower stock, I believe it is. So there you go. In case you're wondering why this isn't running race mod, and the other 1995 Del Sol wasn't running race mod, that's because these are just worse than their 1992 equivalents. They're just heavier, so that's the only real difference, and the 92 SIR actually makes a little bit more power. So the 1992 versions of the Del Sols will run the race mods. In case you're wondering, the race mod is the same between them. Bit of a shame we can't run the race mod on the 95, because I think the 95 looks a little bit better, primarily because they got rid of the weird sort of bug eye in the front bumper and gave it a more normal look, but there you go. I like the way this one looks with its sort of poverty spec wheels, and yeah, interesting. Anyways, front engine, front wheel drive, 187 horsepower, 956 kilos, not particularly impressive stats, so don't expect much out of this. It is going to get 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track in order to set the best on it possibly can. Our current leader is the Mitsubishi GTO LM Edition, set aside with 27.223. This obviously isn't beating that. We've already had the Del Sol that should, well, could have been able to beat that, and it didn't. We had the Del Sol LM Edition a while back, so now that was mid-engine rear-wheel drive, which this one is not. Although Del Sols definitely do look like they should be mid-engine rear-wheel drive, like MR2s, kind of. I mean, this is the one I'd buy because it hasn't got any other complicated handling you've got to deal with. The other Del Sol that we've had go around, the SIR, which made a mighty 250 odd horsepower, that is currently sat in 277th place, 32.006, so this one should be some ways behind that, you would hazard a guess. But still, we love a Del Sol, or I love a Del Sol anyway, you might not. I just think these are cool, like, you know, I get it, they're not, it's weird they're called, well actually is it? So the thing that Del Sol always gets hate for is it's called CRX, because people assume that CRX, you know, that's supposed to be the sporty, you know, late 80s, or sorry, well, during the 80s, because there was the 83, I think the CRX started. You know, they had the CRX, and they sort of updated it a little bit, and then eventually the Del Sol happened, which was, well, people say it's a separate car. I mean, they're both sort of Civic-based chassis, Civic engines, all that sort of stuff. But I think the Del Sol, you know, if you think about the CRX was sort of wedgy and very 80s in the way it looked. And, you know, you had your performance kick and all the rest of it. Well, the 90s were a little bit more, you know, subdued. You know, people just wanted to relax, have a bit of fun. You know, put the roof down, which you can do on a Del Sol, and you can't do on a standard CRX. And I think they sort of appeal to the same sort of buyers, really, you know, the kids who sort of found the Del Sol cool in the 80s, because they were like, yeah, it's like my dad's Civic, except, you know, sporty, two-door coupe-ness. And then you had the Del Sol, which again, you know, kids were like, wow, you know, all my friends have got me asses, but this is a Honda, and I like Honda, you know, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, interesting, I guess. I don't know. That might have just been a ramble that made no sense, but for me, I think it makes perfect sense that these were called CRXs, really. And I mean, you can't just call the car the Del Sol. If I had to guess, Honda, I think in this country they were actually just marketed as CRXs. We didn't use the Del Sol name. I'm assuming the reason they called it the Del Sol was to A, try and differentiate a bit, and B, they didn't want to like directly call it CRX because it was a different classic car. I think that's the closest lap time I've ever had between two cars. Yeah, that performed exactly as I expected it to be honest. I did not expect a lot from this, and it did not deliver a lot. And that's perfectly fine, if we're being honest. Yeah, the SIRs are there to go quick, the VGIs are there to meander. Okay, could have gone a little bit quicker, in theory. Not... yeah, because to be fair, that fifth lap, like, all the best sort of sectors are sort of in that lap. So... interesting, to say the least. Yeah. 32.511 will place this into 306th place. It is quicker than the Mitsubishi Galant VRG Touring, which is a terrible car, quicker than the 1982 Corvette, which is a terrible car, quicker than the Toyota Altezza AS200, which had a terrible transmission. It's quicker than the Honda Z Turbo, so I mean it beats the sort of key car that you can buy from Honda, so that's good. Quicker than the Mirage Asti ZR, that was a terrible car. Slightly slower than the Mini, the Mercury Cougar, which was terrible. The Mitsubishi Minica Dangan, Daihatsu Move, Suzuki Cappuccino. Okay, so this is slower than the Cappuccino. That's quite interesting, because these two cars aren't too dissimilar. You know, they're sort of very low-powered roadsters. It is about 0.5 off of the Unos Roadster, but then again, the S... I've forgot the names of them all now. Why have I forgot the name of them all of a sudden? The SIR. The SIR beat the Unos Roadster. So, there you go. So, the Unos, a bit out of reach, but there you go. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Join me next time when I'll be driving something completely different. Until then, farewell.
Where my hopes and dreams are going, I won't let you back. Got up in a wall that you are not part of. Eyes on the slit of your father with love.